Hi, I'm Jennifer Poole,
And I'm Dave Poole.
and this is our 20 days.
Well, welcome back to our 20 days. And today I have Jennifer with me. So good thing. We don't do that. We're not seemingly in the same zip code very much. So this is a good thing that we can actually do this together
Absolutely.
today. So today it's a Mentorship Monday episode. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about how different people respond or need different mentorships or different types of approaches. So for 20 years, you and I both had corporate careers. And most of our counterparts or bosses or underlings were folks that were professionally trained, lots of degreed people, several not degreed people, but white collar types of positions. And as a manager for me, it was I kind of got into a rhythm, if you will, on what that type of employee needs in terms of day to day and long term mentorship because their goals are usually fairly similar. They're trying to get ahead in their corporate life, trying to get that next promotion, make more money, and while that's probably fairly universal, within that white collar world, it had kind of a sequence to it. If you did A, B, and C, got a couple of good performance appraisals, and a new position becomes available, you apply for it, and because of your development in previous positions, you have the ability to perhaps be hired into this new role. And whether it's within one company or going to other companies, immaterial. But that was generally how it worked. When you and I started our Molly Maid business I guess we started in October of 2004. We didn't clean our first customer until December of 2004. So it took us 5, 6, 7 weeks to kind of, get the office together, hire your first employees,
Sure.
kind of get your feet on the ground. For me, that was the most significant change, going from a corporate job to more of an entrepreneurial, run your own show sort of thing, where
Sure.
the employee base for us is quite different than what I was used to in my earlier career. So lesser educated, more kind of our typical employee is a single mom
Yes.
in their 20s or 30s for the most part. Some in their late teens, some in their 40s and 50s, but sweet spot definitely, you'd probably have to say like 25, single mom with 3 kids
Yes.
is pretty typical.
And then there were certain ones that, were a little bit older and that were trying to find their way, of what they wanted to do, knowing this wasn't the end game
Yeah,
for them.
and that's the key point there is that, the job as a housekeeper for some people is a destination job, and that's fine. These are hardworking people that, have needs to fulfill in their lives. They need to put food on the table. They need to, pay for a car. They got to get gas. They got to pay insurance. The things that everybody has to do. And then there are people where this type of job is kind of a bridge.
Yes.
It might be, where you were kind of going with that. I thought was maybe somebody that has a certain life and then a life event happens.
Absolutely.
They get divorced. Spouse passes away, parents pass away, or maybe a parent now needs personal care that they can't afford to get any other way than having a child provided. Lots of things change, and because of schedule and circumstance, they end up doing something that they probably had not thought of themselves
Exactly.
as having to do. So all of those circumstances create different coaching and mentorship needs. For some people, this is their first job, and we still to this day have issues with employees just making it to work on time. It happens. And sometimes that's just okay, my schedule is such and it ends up that way, or they just behaviorally have never been somebody that lives by a clock.
Exactly.
Just basic coaching on things like, I remember you and I have over the years done a lot of calls for other folks that are considering purchasing a Molly Maid franchise. And one of the things I always talked about, and I know you talked about it too with folks, is we're almost always asked, okay, so what's different about this than what I've done previously?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the sort of jokingly but sort of true is you talk about, for most of us, if you wake up in the morning and you've got a flat tire, it's okay. Okay, I'll take my wife's car today. I'll change the tire. I'll call AAA. I'll do some fashion. I'll take the bus today.
Mm-hmm.
I will figure out how to get to work.
Yeah, you have a plan A, B, C.
You know what, and getting to work is still the goal.
Mm-hmm.
We've had more than a few people over the years where having a flat tire in the morning is cause for a 3-day vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And just coaching people through basic life moments like that. Not so just set aside somebody else's counting on you.
Yes.
How about just being dependable, or having given some thought to, okay, if this happens,
Mm-hmm.
or in our case as the mentor, thinking about, okay, maybe we need to think about, I need to build more cushion into my scheduling. I need to have more, quote, reserve employees than I would do in another career or another job, because you have to count on some level of reliability in there. So anyway, so I know from your perspective, you've got a unique perspective on this simply because something greater than 95% of the nearly 1,600 employees we've had in our Charleston office over the 20 years we've been doing this are female.
Mm-hmm.
So how has that presented itself to you in terms of coaching and mentoring?
It actually, it's been very interesting because at first I was like you, I was going to be a manager, I was going to be a leader, I was going to, get them going and boom, we'd be done. There's a lot of individuals that come into our door and you realize they need help in just, as you were saying, life skills. And I quickly realized I was taking on more of a motherly role in our business that was new to me because I don't even have, biological children. We've always had fur babies and things like that, but it was a different model for me. And then I realized, wow, this is a role model. I need to be a role model for these young girls.
For people that have not had that role model.
Exactly.
In many cases.
In a lot of cases, They were coming in and they already had, these young girls some had already had children and were trying to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And, quite honestly, we're living day by day, if not week by week, and saying, this is such a friendly atmosphere. This is what I need. This is home to me. And it was comforting to know that, but also it puts a lot of responsibility on you because you want to do the right thing. Mm-hmm. You want to say the right thing. And yet you don't want to be too intrusive.
Right.
So there were a lot of times when I was trying my darndest to, open up to them about our situation. Mm-hmm. And then that would seem to kind of take their walls down a little bit and they could actually talk a little bit about their lives. It's also interesting that there are certain personalities that each of us are maybe better at advising.
Mm-hmm.
So what would happen is we were kind of that mother and father type situation. And if they felt more comfortable coming to me, they could. If they felt more comfortable coming to a gentleman such as yourself, they would. But for me personally, it has been very rewarding in terms of seeing the blossoming of some of these women.
Mm-hmm.
I have one in mind specifically, and they actually have grown from just a young girl to a more mature, wonderful woman who is, having this family life that she had always dreamed of.
Mm-hmm.
And that actually is, it's quite a blessing for me to see.
So what you're getting at, I think, comes back to one of the central themes I believe makes a good mentor. And it's, I can't remember the name of the book, but it uses the term accidental. So it's like the idea of being an accidental mentor. You are a good mentor just simply by living the life you live, and being consistent and being that stability
Mm-hmm.
in some of these lives that they just otherwise don't have.
Exactly.
And we talk a lot about these employees being like children to us in many
Mm-hmm.
respects, meaning our children, not that they're childish, but
Right.
that like our children, and like any other parent-child relationship, there are highs and lows.
Yes, you're right.
And you have to learn to live with. Sometimes people just aren't going to do the right things and end up in a place that you would hope they would not end up. And
you just give them a lot of positivity,
and that's all you can do.
Yeah, you hope that will take them to that next level.
Right. And it has been very rewarding in that, and certainly to me, it's been a 1A, 1B sort of most rewarding thing in this job for us, for me anyway, is one, you're watching the development and growth of your employees. And then secondly, we provide a service that people need, and not everybody is as receptive to that blessing of the help in their life that it might be. But we've both got probably a dozen examples in our head right off the top that says, yeah, I remember this person who had this circumstance and this situation, and she was just beside herself. And you all out there might not think that having a clean house is, a blessing necessarily. You'd be surprised.
Mm-hmm.
Where, some people end up and it's like just the simple blocking and tackling of life, of being able to have something in their life that maybe somebody else takes for granted.
Exactly.
And maybe that's the whole point of this dichotomy of staff types that we've had over the years, is that you can't assume anything about anyone. You've had circumstances, I know, when you've done estimates for people going to their homes, and on the outside it's the lily white, big house, big lot near the beach, couple of BMWs in the driveway, and you go inside and it's nothing like that.
No, not at all. And so then you hope that your employees will take what you have taught them, and since they're the front line, they will go in there and do a wonderful, positive, job, but also bring the positivity to that customer. So I think this whole mentorship is all about, it's a network. Basically,
Mm-hmm.
you're giving what you think is best to your employee, and your employee hopefully is giving what they think is best to the customer, and then obviously the customer's life hopefully is a better thing.
Great. Well, we appreciate you joining us today for our Mentorship Monday podcast, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us today on Our 20 Days. Be sure to subscribe or like our website at our20days.com to make sure you receive all updates for new episodes. And again, thanks for joining us at Our 20 Days.